Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mile High Sports Symposium. I am JT Matthews at JT Matthews01 on Twitter, and I'm here with the doctor, Nicholas Manning at
What up,
DR
dude?
Sport and Manning on Twitter as well. Doc, how you doing? Happy Wednesday. We are a few days out from actual training camp.
Oh,
How are you feeling?
we're not days out.
What?
They were out their day, baby.
Oh, I thought it started the 25th. Oh, maybe that's just when people can go watch, huh?
Yes, yeah, fans in 25th.
Gotcha. See, I'm already behind.
Roll call.
And
my man.
Parenting.
Yeah, man. Like you're living in a cave. You're living in a cave. But you know what?
Lakers. I mean, fit Luka, maybe an upgrade. We'll see. But I mean, do we even know if LeBron's staying at this point? I'm not sure.
He wants to come to Denver, I've heard. Just kidding.
I don't think he wants to be second fiddle to anyone. That's the problem.
I think he does, bro. I think he's all right. I think he would do it if they were like, "Hey, bro, go play with Jokic." One, because he would still be like the star, and because Jokic is okay with it.
Yeah.
You know, like you're gonna tell me Nikola Jokic is like, "No, I really want to do all the interviews and all the."
No. Nah. He don't want that. That's for sure.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And the offense would run through him. LeBron he'd average like an easy 25 on 65% shooting.
I mean, you just put him in the dunker spot where
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he just cuts. He could hit spot up threes better than.
Yeah.
Damn, there were a time to do it, but it had to take Bronny too. Yeah. They take Bronny too to send your boy Tyson over there. I feel like
they can have him.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I feel like win-win.
Well, we'll see what happens the regular season. I don't know about the Lakers. We will talk about the Nuggets a little bit. Talking about some football today. We can start off. You said that the Rockies had signed their first round.
Yeah. So two really cool things if you're into that for baseball. The Rockies suck at a lot of things. We're just going to say that. Okay. We're all going to be on the same page. We're going to be clear here. Okay. This is not a jump on the bandwagon right now thing. So last year they drafted Charlie Condon, who was the Golden Spikes MVP of college baseball, right? Big power hitter, and paid him a record-setting slot number, tied with Paul Skeens and then some other guy that was the year before for the most money ever given in a signing bonus in the MLB draft history. So they gave Charlie Condon $9.2 million to sign his name and say, come play baseball. Mind you, he couldn't go back to school, eligibility and all that stuff. They still were like, here you go. So it's acknowledgement of if we get elite talent, we got to keep elite talent, make elite talent elite again. So then they drafted Jackson Holliday, son of Matt Holliday, Rocky legend, with the fourth pick. Ethan was a high school baseball player, so he had options. So the Rockies did have to come in strong and gave Ethan a record-setting signing bonus for a high school prospect at $9 million. So in the last two drafts, just to sign their names, the Rockies have shelled out more money to top two draft picks
$20 million
in the history of baseball. So again, this is a reminder that the Rockies aren't cheap. They're baseball incompetent. Two different things. So they spend money to wrong guys, right? Like Chris Bryant.
Wrong guys always.
Not great, Bob. So long story short, blink. It'll be like 3 years from now because I think Ethan's still 17, maybe just turned 18. Not sure. He's going to need a little bit. High school fast track even at 21. Charlie Condon probably a little faster, but in 2029, potentially we got our Cargo and our Tulo kind of big superstar. And like sluggers, not Charlie Blackmon and Nolan Arenado. We're one sitting over the fence, others gap it. It's the potential to be two of the best power hitters in baseball, the way they profile. So that's it. That's our Rockies talk for the day. Thanks for joining for that portion. If you had logged off, you may now log back in. Rockies talk is over, and we can move on to the next thing.
Yeah, let's. We always finish the Broncos, so let's not break format.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about the Nuggets. Got a final word from Jonas Valanciunas that he's committed to playing this year with the Denver Nuggets. Just kind of a relief, I think, for Nuggets fans. It felt like it was going that way, but you never know. If guys disgruntled, you had other plans for his season or seasons forward. He had the ability to hold out and kind of make a stink out of the situation. But it was nice to hear from his mouth, or at least his agent's mouth, that he's committed to playing this year with the Nuggets. He's going to back up Jokic. And I actually heard, I don't remember which podcast it was on. Someone on one of the other Broncos or Nuggets podcasts mentioned that like a year or two ago, Jonas was on a podcast and someone asked him where his ideal playing situation would be. And he said Denver behind Jokic, backing up Jokic. So it is funny that he did kind of hold out. It was more of a money play, like a long-term, trying to get a more long-term deal.
Yeah, just comfort, right? Like, I think for him, he's in a different country than where he is from, different continent.
Yeah.
From, I think it's okay to recognize, that probably would be tough. And so the basketball fit wasn't the problem. Right? He makes $10 million. I think in NBA money, that's not a lot for a guy that's as good as I think that he is. And just to clarify, right? So here was a statement. I want to clear the air about my playing situation next season now that Denver has made their decision to keep me. The idea of playing for Platypus or whoever the Greek team closer to home was very exciting to me, but that will have to wait. I'm fully committed to honoring my contract with the Nuggets season, and we'll give it my all as we compete for a championship. So I think, from that, let's parse that out a little bit. What they told him is said, hey, we went out specifically for you because we think we can win a championship.
Right.
And I think with that, the selling of we're not going to let you go because without you, I don't think we can win a championship. With you, I think that we can and will win a championship. And so you can choose to sit out under those circumstances or you can come play. But because we are going all in to win a championship, we cannot renege on that. Which I think it's a lot when, it's a guy that wants to play close to his family on the continent it's not Swaggy P. It's not those guys or a dime a dozen kind of athlete, right? Stephon Marbury at the end, go earn your chips. Jimmer Fredette. This is you are a legit NBA player. And obviously the fit matches. And hopefully there was some, hey, if this goes well, we'll talk extension or what have you. And I also don't know the time frame. The time frame in the sense of how quick could you add or sprinkle a little bit on top? They have to be careful though, because they still have room to add people. So you can't sprinkle them on the top, put yourself over the apron and then not be able to get a player if you want. So it's probably some, we got you, back room, handshake, all the stuff. If this goes well, we'll give you the chance to opt out and leave or run it back for all the stuff. So when they didn't grant him that kind of exit within, in my opinion, the first 72 hours, they weren't gonna.
Yeah.
That was the So now we got to make sure that that we're good people as the Nuggets, that we really want you. That's why we're not letting you go. Not a slave owner. You better come do your job kind of stuff. But I'm super pumped, man. I mean, in the end, right? That was that to me was the most important domino.
Yeah. I mean, when you talk about depth for this team and having a backup center that is serviceable, that you can kind of do a facsimile of a Jokic kind of
role. I mean, even just he's a starter quality. If he were your starting center, if you picked a team, a good competitive top 8 team in the conference, they're like, hey, Valanciunas is your starting center. You wouldn't be like, oh man, that's you know what I mean? He's replacement level starting center, which then as your backup for a team, especially that hasn't had one since Jokic was I'm great. You better play me all the time.
Right.
I can see why they weren't scared to put a ring on it.
As they should not be.
They should not be.
Hopefully, actually, by the end of the season, hopefully they do put a ring on it. Hey now. Do you anticipate they would run any double big lineups?
Yes. Especially the first half of the year, right? Because I think we're aware it doesn't matter what seed they are. I mean, in the end, you got to beat everybody, but that is less important than hitting on all cylinders and being healthy at the end. I would hope that the first 2 months are just let's get data.
Yeah.
Who with who? Don't Vic. Like, what's the 3 guys that we need on the floor to allow us to be more athletic when those 2 guys are in, right? And is that Peyton Watson? Is that? But we lose 3-point shooting. It's like, all right. So they better, they better, because I mean, look what Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert did, in that series against Jokic. And so the option to be able to beat you up with a guy like that, then say you bring in Deron Holmes to play, like you can now just like the depth is huge because of just the options. It's not necessarily just guys that will run out there and go do stuff. It's we can beat you in a bunch of different ways. So the ability to do that now, right, just kicks the can down the road in the sense of who's playable. So now you got Peyton Watson, who, is a top 10 rotation guy, in my opinion. Tim Hardaway Jr., who is my second favorite ad. Bruce Brown, who is I just love Bruce Brown. And then, right, like that's 9 deep. And that we haven't even looked at, maybe some of the other guys that can provide you with some hustle minutes and blah, 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 blah. Good teams run 9 to 10 deep. You can shave it off to situations when you get to the playoffs, but without that, I didn't say Deron Holmes. Deron Holmes, there's your 10 deep. And potentially you could run a second unit that has a little bit of shooting, some savvy, can rebound, even if it's for 5 minutes to get you whatever that might be. So, I love it, and I'm glad that it worked out. I have no doubt about his professionalism, that he's not going to come in and work hard.
Right.
I've never got that kind of thing from him. For sure. Yeah, Chris. Yeah. Michael Mullen somewhere just drowning in sorrow. Like, come on, man.
For sure.
All I had to do is he sent the reply all email on accident. Michael Mullen was like, oh, yeah, Calvin, you can't eat hit it. It's like, oh, it's reply all. Right. Josh is like, dang it, man. You made me I gotta come in now. And that was a wrap. Don't reply all. Emails. Don't do it.
For sure. No, I think you're right. I think the versatility of lineup, especially when the playoffs roll around, it's gonna be clutch to have options, right? I think we saw that with OKC this season. They were able to kind of tailor their lineups to fit the series, which is kind of what you need to be able to do. It's funny because I think we are moving away from
the big 3 and then just trash all over.
Well, right. And it was just there was always depth was always overrated in the playoffs, right? It was always something that was like, oh, if you have 6 good guys, then that's all you need, or maybe 7 good guys. Well, now, if you look at the teams that were successful last season, they had 7, 8, 9 guys deep that they could kind of mix and match as they needed to, give guys rest, keep guys fresh. And I think that's it's what's needed nowadays. I think you need much more versatility when the playoffs come around. I think you have to have guys that you can trust in those pieces or those places of versatility. You have to have a lineup where you can play 2 bigs. You have to have a lineup where you can surround Jokic with shooters. You have to have a lineup where you can play defense. And now they've built a roster that feels a lot more complete when it comes to that piece.
Yep. Nailed it.
Any thoughts? The Nuggets signed Curtis Jones, Iowa State, the Cyclone. Any feels about that? Did you get to watch much of the summer league or him play?
A little bit. We brought up kind of some of our guys and in discussing who were high on and who were not. That was a guy that I had liked. I was able to watch some condensed games to get a sense of his game. I think it translates to a role in the NBA. Whether or not he will get enough opportunities on this team remains to be seen. And to be honest with you, if he doesn't, with Adelman, I think being a little bit more open to whoever's going to get the job done kind of thing, not my favorites. And so if he doesn't, that to me means that the 10 guys that we just listed are. Right. And so that to me would be a good sign. But I also wouldn't mind, again, the first half of the season, let these guys get some lumps early on, to cap guys minutes a little bit, Jamal, etc. And have guys like that play, like let them see if they can earn that, right? You talk about Hunter Tyson, like your one trait that you appreciate about him was hustle.
Yeah.
If you come off the bench, like it's non-negotiable, like you got to put in the effort. And so for me, could he come in and show that he, tenacious defender, can it be consistent with the outside shot? Like give them a reason to have you get to go out there again. Trying hard shouldn't be it. Like, do you try hard and make the right play? Right. Like those kind of things. So I'm excited about it for sure.
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting. I think he has the potential. Obviously it'll take some time. I don't know that it'll happen this season, but I think he's got some potential to push Pickett. Pickett to me, is a little undersized. He's not.
No, he's undersized for sure.
And he's not. I don't know. I don't want to say he's not natural with the ball in his hand, but he doesn't. He's not your prototypical point guard. He plays with his back to the basket a lot. He plays a little bit small on defense. He plays
to his size on defense.
He holds up well, like in the post, weirdly, but on the perimeter, it's a little bit tough. I think Curtis Jones is probably.
And guys aren't gonna not shoot over him, like he doesn't.
Right.
So either you got to be sticky and glue, you got to be able to run them, beat screens. If you're that size, I don't know if he can do those. And again, he doesn't have a plus trait, right? So his ball handling is good, but it doesn't scream like playmaker to me, where it's like a natural can create for others. Again, so it's to me, if the bottom of the roster has competition on it, that means you're deep, right? Like just because you played here last year and you improved doesn't mean that you're going to be here again. So I would agree. I think I like it. Just guys shouldn't feel comfortable. And guys got comfortable on the Nuggets, and to me, that was one of the reasons why they haven't been good, right? Like Hunter Tyson, how are you not a 60% 3-point shooter? Right? Like in the opposite, you're not just sitting there shooting threes, knowing that if I get really, really good at this, I'm going to make $60 million before. What is the?
For sure.
Why are you not that guy? And if you're not, we're at a place now where we got some depth, where we can take some swings on some other guys. Then, and I agree. So I really like that. Rooting for Jalen Pickett. May the best man win. All the stuff. Not hating like Chris does, but again, keep bringing in those guys. The Jaquan McMillan, right? Like that was good. It was nice. And now our team has elevated where his level of play either has to go up or we have people to replace him now, right? Like we've plugged the leaky holes, and so now it's like let's tighten up the engine.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's it for Nuggets. We're moving quick today, so we'll get some extra Broncos talk in. We talked a little bit offline, and this was just a hypothetical that I threw out there.
This is predictive.
This is okay. No, not this part.
No, not this part for sure.
I saw that Terry McLaurin with the Commanders is holding out. He's not excited to start a season without a long-term contract, and so he has not done so. So I texted the doc and I said, "Hey, what do you think about Terry McLaurin? Would you be willing to make a move for him, whether that be via sign and trade or, knowing that, come to the end of the season, there's potential we sign you back on, or you just go into free agency and get the money that you think you deserve if Washington's not going to bring you back." So I threw that to him, and I've got a few little, not specific like detail to detail trade scenarios, but I put it together a few in my mind. But what's your kind of general first reaction when I shot you that message?
Yeah, give me what was my reaction just about McLaurin?
Yeah, just not necessarily your reaction, but like now that we've talked about it a little bit, you've thought about it a little bit. Yeah. What's your feel?
I love Scary Terry. I think he's a one. He's a dude. It's hard because is he more of a dude than Cortland?
Right.
Last year maybe not.
Court was the man among
Court, and so it's a little bit on what are we banking on?
Right.
Because he's probably going to want and probably should deserve, maybe 10 million more a year than what Court will get. He's also younger by a good gap. but he's also not as big. Great with contested catches, but he's not Court that's going to go win you a 730 ball. So I'm intrigued. But I'm a Scary Terry fan. So yes, I think the Broncos absolutely should be exploring whether or not his holdout of camp I don't know if he's holding in or out. If that disgruntledness is enough to be able to get them on the phone and see if there's a deal that could be inched towards for sure.
Yeah. Do you, because I've kind of vacillated back and forth from like, yeah, I think that would be a great fit, to also like, well, this is a young team and a fairly young roster with a lot of guys you're trying to develop within this offense. Is now the right time to make that sort of move, kind of given the unproven nature of the team? We think they're a contender, but Bo Nix is second-year quarterback. You know, do you go and make a move for a vet that you may end up losing in the offseason,
sure,
as opposed to just kind of growing that offense together? What's your kind of feel on that?
Oh, my feel is, like you're either going to pay Court or you're going to pay Terry.
Yeah.
So to me, it's a little bit of like, if you're Sean Payton, right, who fits the mold of your offense? You're like, I don't know what he has envisioned for the rest of the guys, Pat Bryant, etc. So it's a little bit if like, you know, if he doesn't fit necessarily the role that you think you want him in, to pay him then that much, to not use him as much, that would kind of make sense. But moving out what Sean Payton would want, all of the things. He's young enough, I think, seasoned enough to be a long-term piece. Like that would be a guy I would move for, knowing I'm going to pay him 30 a year or 35 or whatever the going rate is. Because I do think the structure of teams, you pay one alpha dog, and you know, Sean Payton has done that with Michael Thomas, you know, all of that stuff. And so if you think that he fits, which I think he does, and he's like a quiet superstar, so it kind of fits like the team a little bit, right? Like it's the first time I've heard him be mad about anything ever. So not following Commander football, but he has never appeared to be a guy that is on that level of diva-ness, where this is a thing that consistently goes up. You know, the market went up, his production has showed like, hey, I'm getting paid Cortland Sutton money, you know?
Right.
So that's my take. Because so then I volley to you, like, let's come up with a handful of scenarios, 3 scenarios about what a deal would look like. What's the appeal? What's the pushback? And then see if it's something that we would do, or you know, what would the threshold be?
Right. Do you? So my first thought was just like pick and, you know, see what kind of round pick would get it done. Is a second round pick too much for a guy like McLaurin?
No.
Okay, second and a fourth?
No.
You go more than that? You go 2?
I mean, I'd go
2 seconds?
I'd go like, no, I don't think I'd go 2 seconds. I would go a second and a fourth, and like maybe a day, like a second and a day 3 next year, and then maybe a fourth the year after to kind of spread it.
Sure.
You know, like a conditional, maybe 2 conditional day 3 picks in both years. So, you know, second to fourth next year, and then the year after, if he plays whatever, signs his extension, whatever that might be, like, so that they help us out on the way out, you get another fourth, you know, maybe something like that. So if we're just to do draft capital, I wouldn't do a first.
I don't think we'd be going for a first. I don't think that this team is in a position of need that much. They're not desperate enough to go get that guy. And if you felt like it was the piece to get you a Super Bowl, but I don't know that they know that we are one piece away at this point, right?
Right, and not that piece. For as much as I like Terry McLaurin, you know, Terry isn't Jefferson or Chase. Right. Like, you know, if you're gonna pay top dollar, to me, it's a guy that is irreplaceable. Right? Like, no, we can't really duplicate that skill set. You know, with the first round pick, we're not going to get anyone better than that guy. Yeah. At a premium position in terms of like how much you'd pay out. I would rather get a rookie in the first round and pay $10 million a year for the life of that contract than send a first and 35. So this was interesting that you had put this in the chat, Chris. We may or may not have already discussed this.
If you deal for McLaurin, then Courtland Lee. I think he's saying like if you get McLaurin, don't sign him long term, and then you let them
I think you're not paying both of those guys.
Right.
No, and you got Marvin, you got Troy, I'm talking about them like we're buddies. You got Mims, you got Franklin, you drafted Bryant. No, I don't. And you got Vele, and Bryant to me do what Court does. So unless those guys are not great, those wouldn't be guys I would go get like that.
Yeah. What about something like, let's say, so I'm looking at the thing right now. I wonder if there's certain guys that would be untouchable. Would you trade, since we have Jade Barron, and say they were interested in a guy like Riley Moss, would you trade Riley Moss in a third, or Riley Moss in a fourth and a sixth, something like that? You probably maybe have to do more than that. Maybe Riley in a third, and maybe a third the next year.
That's really good, man.
It's tough, right? I mean,
is Riley, like, to me, Riley Moss isn't irreplaceable.
Right.
So I wouldn't mind dealing him, but it's a little bit of like that. Plus, like this year, they're going to make a Super Bowl run, I think, with this group. Like, I don't think adding McLaurin to this wide receiver room and then losing Moss makes you a better football team. So I wouldn't trade Riley Moss because of where they're at now.
Okay. Next
year I would, like if this were the next off season where they had another first round pick to be able to use, or free agency, really, they could go get my man Asante Samuel Jr. Just saying, but no, I wouldn't do that. That's actually a really good one though.
What about this just came to me. Nick Bonito is trying to up his contract. Would you move Nick Bonito for Terry McLaurin?
No. Because again, it's a little like the subtraction from the defense doesn't equal better football team by getting McLaurin, because I think that they have some really good players.
I mean, you're talking about the pay though. Is it worth the cap? Even if you're maybe getting rid of the better guy. We're talking about Benito, who was in conversations for DPOY last year. That guy's going to get paid a lot of money, and it may not be with the Broncos. If we're just being real, maybe they'll try and tag him and see what happens. But ultimately, there's a good chance that they don't want to pony up and spend that kind of money on that position.
Yeah, I mean that would if they're like, I think we got you and we got but I think top 10 pass rusher in the league for a top 20 receiver. That's hard. Kind of going back, what, Chris, I think you have a point. If they called right now, so we'll take Riley Moss in a third for McLaurin. Yeah, for sure I'd do it.
You would do it?
Yeah.
I think with Jade, I would do it.
Yeah.
If we did.
Yeah, saying like, everything's the same.
Yeah.
We have the roster we have now. Because again, McMillan wasn't an eyesore, like he wasn't terrible.
Right.
I think there's a little bit more you need from him. So having those three be your options, I think, I think so. Also, Riley Moss hasn't been healthy in any season he's been a pro. So, so I think I would do that. I do it.
Yeah, I think so. I just think that it would be difficult, right? Because I think you like the depth of this defense right now. You like the versatility, and you would definitely be letting go of that versatility to a degree, right? You would have to hope that Jade could play on the outside.
Yep.
I think that remains to be seen. I think we both are a little bit skeptical that can happen, but we think that it's a possibility. So you'd have to hope that he can play to CB2 standards. But, I think that if you are giving Bo Nix one more veteran, one more guy that can stretch the field, one more reliable hands guy, you get it in his area, he's going to come down with it, or he's going to, run a good route and get that separation and get you a first down, more so than some of these young guys. I think that is, something they would definitely have to consider. Would it be difficult? For sure. I think the excitement around this defense specifically I mean, there's a lot to like about the defense, but I think the versatility is a huge one, right?
Yeah.
So letting go of that to get a high caliber player would be difficult, but I think that ultimately you would have to make that. I would make that decision. I would choose to get McLaurin just because.
Me too.
I think you need the help more on the offensive side of the ball than you do on the defensive side of the ball, and that doesn't keep you from making a move down the line as you get into the season if you need to.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, Asante Samuel Jr. is 25. Bring him in on a 2-year, $8 million deal or something. I don't see why he wouldn't sign it. Is Riley Moss that much better than Asante Samuel Jr.? Maybe not.
Yeah. Hard to say.
Could you talk yourself into Stephon Gilmore for a year just to have I think that those are some options. So I think, but I could only do that if I knew that McLaurin was going to be a long-term play.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the hard part, right? Is knowing that if you didn't sign and trade, then you're in a situation where maybe your top 2 receivers walk away, and then you're kind of back to square one for a receiving core for Bo Nix. So it wouldn't be without risk. Ultimately, I don't think it's going to happen, but it's a fun, thought experiment. The guys, you never know where guys are going to end up. I was looking at the Commanders' depth chart. It doesn't look great at the receiver position without Terry there. It'd be Debo when he's healthy, and then your other 2 receivers are Noah Brown and Luke McCaffrey. You got Michael Gallup in there if he's healthy. Chris Moore, Jalen Lane, KJ Osborne. So a lot of good
guys.
Yeah, just guys, just bodies, ultimately. I think some of those guys have some upside for sure, but to what degree, I don't think obviously they're going to get, I don't think McLaurin someone that is going to match that productivity if he was to step out. So ultimately, I think they probably end up getting it done just because of the way that depth chart looks and the inconsistency of Deebo Samuel. But we'll have to see how it all shakes out. Let's move to the Broncos piece of this, the actual Broncos stuff. Actually, we're doing predictions, so it's not real actual Broncos stuff. But we're taking our best guesses here. So I want to go over some players that we think could be surprise cuts when training camp rolls around to the end, or guys that may pop for you and surprise people at training camp. Why don't we start with the latter? Let's start with someone that might pop, and I'll kick it to you first. You got anyone in mind that you think might surprise people in camp this year?
Yeah, I think Savion Jones is going to be a guy that I think really, because of his size, his length, pedigree, LSU coaching, I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And the good problem then is what do we do with? Yep, we'll figure that part out. I think he's the guy that will, all of the insiders and our great Denver media guys that are going to be out there. I bet his name is going to be on there a lot. Just because, one, I think it favors defensive linemen too a little bit because offensive linemen don't have their pads on all the time. And he's the guy that can win with speed, convert to power. He's got length. He's stout. So I'm really excited to see what he can provide because interior disruption to me is the best. The best you can get. I don't know. There's probably some song I was trying to think of. But again, it's what Tom Brady and Peyton Manning struggled when pressure is in their face. Right? Patrick Mahomes struggles when pressure is in his face. Every good quarterback, they can't step up, have good vision, feel comfortable. It's going to be a rough day, and I think he's a guy that, in my opinion, will be a long-term piece for this. So let's see, confidence level. Yeah, like an 80% confidence level that he'll pop, not just be good.
That he'll crack the rotation.
That he'll be a part of. Yes, that he'll be a part of the rotation by the time, a good, steady contributing player in the rotation. So not your 10%er, not a primarily special teams guy. I think he'll do that too, but I think he'll be a guy that'll push Malcolm and Jordan Jackson, who I think both of those guys showed really well last year.
Yeah, they did.
I think Savion Jones is a guy that is hands down a better athlete. I think showed more in college than both of those guys did. So I think he's kind of coming in with his own, and I think he hasn't turned 22 yet. So
right.
There's a lot of positives there.
For sure. No, I like that. Yeah, I think he's got a good chance of cracking the rotation too. I do like, when we got him coming out of the draft, I was pretty excited at the fit. He's got great length. He played in a 2 and 3 point stance. He just is big. He's a big body. What is 6'5", 290, something like that. And obviously at his age has the potential to get in a little more football shape or get some more effective weight on his frame. Obviously he's going to be a guy that ends up playing special teams, and we'll have to see how impactful he is there. But I really like, especially in the run game, I think he's got a potential to be disruptive. We'll see how his pass rush game goes, but I think that he's got some tools that are interesting that make him that I can see why, the Broncos front office was interested in bringing him in. He's just a good looking athlete, from a big school, and that has some good coaching. And I think he's NFL ready. So it will be interesting to see if he's able to crack that rotation. I do like that prediction, though. I could definitely see that happening. I'm going to go opposite. We'll switch back and forth. So I'll do someone that I think could be a surprise cut. And I think that's Drew Sanders. I think maybe I'm a year early on this. I just think that his inability to stay healthy, and then when he gets out there, I think when we drafted Drew Sanders, the Broncos drafted Drew Sanders, I think we're really excited about his upside and his versatility.
Yeah.
And we just haven't seen that. We expected maybe something akin to Josie Jewell plus athleticism and, a hard-nosed guy that would create turnovers, that would get to the ball at full force and make guys really think about, turning up field, that sort of thing. And just he's been a ghost out there a little bit. There have been times where you've seen him out there, and I'm like, oh, okay, Drew Sanders is out there. Maybe we'll get an impact play. I just haven't seen anything like that makes me confident that he would get the nod over even a guy like a Stranad. I don't know if they'd want him inside or outside right now. That maybe is part of the problem.
Yes, it has been the problem for sure.
Yeah, he hasn't really seemed to have the instinct to be an inside guy. He doesn't really seem to have the pass rush ability to be an outside guy. I'm just not sure where he slots in on this defense, and he's someone that I was excited about, and now I'm just kind of wondering if he's just in over his head at this level of play.
Yeah. What do you no. All right. You hit it. I'm gonna add here.
Okay. Yeah.
One more that's gonna pop, because I think let's get into surprise cuts after that. I'm gonna go with my guy Pat Bryant.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be a guy that is much smoother, and I think can get downfield better than people think with the 40 time and all the stuff. I'm really excited to see. I think he's going to be a guy that will do a lot of things really well and early. I think he's a mature player, appreciates and acknowledges and embraces the blocking aspect of it. Right. So I think he's going to be a guy that maybe it's not freak athletic catches all over the place, but a constant, he's found his way to be open a lot. And, if they go full pads or, blocking drills, I think he's going to bury some dudes, and nothing to get you more fired up in a team practice than the guy who shouldn't putting you on your butt in front of all of your teammates and 800 because of construction loyal fans. I think he's going to be a guy that kind of Vele-ish in the sense of, wow, didn't really know that he was going to be that good. Every day, just positive checks. I think he's going to be a guy that does that just consistently on the notepad of, good red zone work, good, just that kind of stuff, and a variety of, not one trick pony.
Yeah. No, I think that that's a good possibility. I would agree with you. I think obviously we both like the Pat Bryant pick. We I think it was a little underrated when they first made the pick. I think we were, we both had guys. We did some pretty in-depth draft coverage this year, and we both had guys that we really liked. He didn't really make either of our lists as far as like guys that we thought the Broncos would necessarily be targeting. However, kind of getting more familiar with his game outside of just a little bit that I had seen in the offseason. The guy's a baller. He's a guy that has experience. He has great hands. He can get separation on the outside potentially. I mean, I think he was one. This was a wide receiver. This draft class there were a lot of receivers that could play that slot position and be dynamic slot players. There weren't a ton of guys that you felt really good about being on the outside. And I think Bryant's one of the guys that maybe you don't feel extremely optimistic that he will make that jump to be a wide receiver too. But I think that he has more of a skill set than a lot of those guys coming out of the draft. And I think they were looking for a guy like that. So I think, obviously we'll have to see what happens with Mims and whether they want to try and line him up on the outside more often. I'm guessing that he'll get an opportunity to do that to kind of solidify that wide receiver too. But at the same time, given Sean Payton's offense and kind of the way that he likes to have utility players, maybe that's the plan for Mims. Maybe there's not a lot of interest in lining him up on the outside and seeing if he can win on one-on-one. Maybe there's more interest in just like, hey, we got Vele, we got Pat Bryant, and we've got Mims. We've got some guys that can move the chains. Let's see what we got with these young guys out on the outside and see what happens. I think he'll get an opportunity, and I hope that it comes pretty early on. I hope we see him out there in preseason. I'm sure that we will at some point. But I think that is the real hope is that he can pop as a wide receiver too, and I think he's going to have to get reps to be able to do that, and I think he will.
Yeah, he's a guy that it's like I'm super excited for because I liked him as a player before the Broncos got him. I agree. Yeah. I think he's a guy that where he got drafted is going to be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like he's a pretty good player by the time the season's done. And I look forward to not like gloating to like, none of you guys were on but like, yeah, I trusted what I saw and I think he's a guy, he's a dog. Like he fits the, Sean Payton could build a receiver, probably, maybe the tick faster, but he plays in such control, like maybe not, but he's tenacious. He's tall. He catches it, makes plays, right? Like he's got the clutch. He's got the. So I'm super pumped. I think at the end of the year, we'll be really excited about what he is offering. But I think he's going to chip away at that depth chart. Do I know if he's going to leapfrog those top three options? I actually hope not, in the sense of I hope Marvin comes out strong, and I hope Vele is okay physically, all the stuff that he had some stuff going on too. Because if he is, I think he's polished right now, and I think that's one where you can ease him into what you're doing. You don't have to, like you said, it's pretty deep in the terms of they're not desperate for a guy in there. So I think he'll chip away at it, but I think he's gonna create some noise in training camp.
Yeah, no, I mean, I certainly hope so. I think he's a guy that we're all pretty excited about, and it seems like is a good team guy, good guy in the locker room. So I'm hoping that he just kind of comes in and fills in seamlessly, whether it be in high volume or fairly low volume this year. I think he's got some potential to pop for sure.
Yeah.
Trying to decide.
Well, if you want a minute, I got a surprise cut teed up.
Yeah, let's do that because I'm kind of waffling between one or two.
Okay. Myself. I think John Franklin Myers, and
okay.
One, I hope if that were the move that it would be a trade of some sort, not a cut. But if Savion Jones shows out real well, as I think that he will, like Malcolm Roach has shown that he's a good contributing factor or player.
Yeah, for sure.
Jordan Jackson was a good player. Could they say, you know what, you're disgruntled enough that and on par maybe physically with what this gentleman has to offer, that we could use that 8, 9, whatever million it is to go get some players maybe of a lesser extent, but go recoup or go package, or hey, you know what, Washington, I don't know, that kind of thing.
Right,
So
right.
he's a guy that I think, especially because of how vocal he's been about his contract situation, that and them drafting his replacement. To me, I think that's a guy that would be a surprise cut. Not for sure. Damari Mathis probably will be cut.
Yeah. I think that would be a little bit of a surprise, Mathis. Not a huge
Really?
surprise, but a little bit.
It's with Jade. So you got Pat, you got Jade, you got Riley, right? So those are 3 guys. Jaquan, I would assume he's cheap. He's a better player than Damari Mathis. So that's 4 already. And then, is Damari Mathis better than, offer more than what Quentin Newsom could? Chris Abrams drain, like how many are we going 60 in the corner room? And so, I like Chris better. I think he had more of a mentality. So I wouldn't be shocked if Damari is cut for sure. I think he has to play real well to make the team. To me, he's on the outside looking in. I bet it would have, but we're doing a podcast, Chris. So a simple no would then not create content. But I think if this were last year, I would have said because I still like Damari Mathis. I think he's a player. I think after really kind of getting beaten up a little bit, his first year and then bench year 2. Like last year, I thought he came in and was a solid pro. He's good length, a good special teams guy. And yes, it's all about me for sure. That's what it's the Doc and JT podcast, not the Chris podcast. Anyway, so all right, volley to you, because I'll keep turning them. We already got guys in the chat talking crap, so I'll take a break.
All right, I'm gonna go. I am tempted to do the one that Chris put up there earlier, but I'm gonna go with the surprise standout potentially.
Okay.
And I waffled a little bit between 2, but I think I'm gonna go with Tyler. Is it bidet? Is it Badie?
Yes.
Bidet? I hate that it's bidet. It's spelled not like bidet.
I know. Yep.
Like I don't.
Yep.
It makes me want him to not pop. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, to be honest, it doesn't make me not want him to like.
Right.
I get it. Your family's rude or whatever. There's a reason. I have no doubt. But come on, bro.
I just think that to think that this running back room is going to remain healthy throughout the season, I think is a little bit of a pipe dream. I think J.K. Dobbins it's pretty well established that the guy is pretty injury prone. I think that he will miss time. And I think you're going to have a third guy step up. I think it's been pretty well documented. I'm not an estimate believer necessarily. Would I like for that to happen? Absolutely. It just makes the team better. But I haven't seen anything there. I've seen more with Bidet than I have with any of those other backs that we have rostered, including Harvey up to this point. Obviously, Harvey hasn't played, so that could change pretty quickly. But if you're talking about potential upside, apparently my children just come into the room whenever they want to.
Yeah, like they live there, jerks.
I think we saw enough from Bidet last year that made you optimistic that he can play with some grit and tenacity, that he has some ability to play between the tackles and on the outside, that he has enough. His hands are good enough to be able to be utilized in the passing game a little bit. Obviously you worry a little bit about his health given what happened with him last year, but not that he wasn't really an injury concern up until that point, but that's a pretty big blow that he took. And, who knows how as a running back, how you bounce back from a neck injury like that. But he's a guy that I like, that I think has some upside, and that may have an opportunity this year to kind of show it more than he has in previous years. Not to say I think Harvey and Dobbins are going to be year 1 and 2. I don't think that's really an argument. I would be surprised to see either of them surpassed on the depth chart coming out of camp. So I don't think that's necessarily going to happen either. But I think that there's really going to be a battle for that third running back position. I think Estime is who you'd like for them to be able to win it. You'd like him to be able to win it, just so that you can get that short yardage back, that hard-nosed guy that can go pick up 2-3 yards and keep the chains moving. McLaughlin had points last year where he looked good in the passing game out of the backfield, not necessarily between the tackles, but kind of on the edges a little bit. I think Bidet might be the best well-rounded back there that can kind of do a little bit of all of that. And I think that he has an opportunity, and I would be excited for him to kind of take a step forward, even if it's just as a depth guy, in case of injury.
He is also one that's gotten like shout outs from. Hold on. Apparently my kids just come back.
Yeah, the dog's barking. It's chaos right now. We've hit the chaos zone. This is what happens when you have as many kids as we can.
And when you're live, yep.
But
my daughter wants to help. She wants to cut the box open. Upstairs though, probably would be great. Bidet, he's the one guy that got positive praise for pass pro. From Sean Payton earlier. So yeah, to me, he had the biggest explosive play last year in the Broncos run game, and if he shows that he can be an asset on all three downs, you got to be able to pick up the blitz, you got to be able to catch the ball. I think he can do both of those. Would love for Estime with the size and physicality, but to be honest, he's also one of my probably will get cut or surprise cut guys.
Yeah.
Because I do think, I don't know if the maturity has set in, and I think he's a guy that probably could make it to practice squad if they wanted. So yeah. I like Tyler Bidet. I think hopefully all the concussion stuff is cleared away, and he can come in and really contribute. That to me would be a really strong 1-2-3.
Yeah,
guys that can do quite a bit of stuff. Usually in the games that he's played, he's found a way to make a play, and it hasn't needed a ton of touches to be effective. And I think hopefully that's also what you want from your third or fourth running back, is that you're not the guy that has to get fed the rock to be a contributing player, that you can make your presence known when you get in, and when you're on the field, they don't know exactly what we're doing. So yeah, I dig it. I like that.
Anyone? Do you have any other ones that you want to throw out there, or I've got a question to pose to you? If not,
I do, but pose the question first.
I just wonder if there's someone. It could go either way. Is there someone that you're rooting for just because you like them or you like their game that you would like to see be one of the surprises of camp, or is there a player that you think is like, if this player pops, then it elevates this offense, defense, whatever unit to the
I like that. Let me see, because the way that I want to answer it. So one, I think your identification of Drew Sanders, I think if he shows that he can be a guy, that he wasn't a lost cause, right? He is potentially the best athlete on the team.
Yeah, for sure.
And, to be able to have at a position where that isn't the prerequisite, you kind of settle for what you can get inside. And if he can harness that to even show the glimpse of, I think, or that he, I don't want Alex Singleton to go anywhere, but that, hey, he's a guy that let's not mess around. This might be that dude. Or they have a kind of a 3-man rotation to minimize Greenlaw and Singleton snaps. I really like that one. So that would be one guy. But I think for me, it's interesting because Caleb Lohner would be awesome.
Yeah, that's like a deep one for sure. But
for me, it's like if
the room is so outside of
he's at
Ingram,
asset.
right?
Yeah, and I mean he's 6'7" jump ball guy, right? I don't know what the percentage would be on throws 10 yards and in to that guy, right? But it's like if he is, if they feel like, we got to keep him on the team because we'll lose him.
Yeah.
Then hopefully that means that he's shown enough to warrant a roster spot, which for that dart throw, right? It's all upside.
Right.
That upside is huge, right? Like if he's 6'7" basketball player frame, like that, just so much you can do. And even if it's, niche kind of thing, I think if he is a guy that would pop, that to me is kind of a deep hole. So I will yield the floor, sir. What about you?
Yeah, no, it's funny. I wasn't thinking Barron. I think glad Chris put it in there because there's always an opportunity for your first round draft pick to just be a guy. So I think that is actually, I was looking like more of your second, third teamers, but I think Barron's a great answer.
But I mean, it's one that's like, if he pops, this team goes from, that defense goes from good to, good luck, like, yep. Especially in the way that we've talked about him, about the inside-outside versatility.
Yep.
If he's able to do that part, not even just he can hold up outside or he can be a third safety, but if he comes in and he's really chess piece guy, it's kind of like when Mika Fitzpatrick came in, right? Like he was like, wow, like he kind of reset that big nickel safety playmaker kind of thing, right? Where, like you said, when we talked about him earlier, it's if you're a guy you're a safety that doesn't create turnovers, you're replaceable, right? From that position, that's kind of what you need to be able to do in some way, shape, or form. And so that, I think, is a really good one because, mind you, his threshold is a little bit higher for what pop would equal to me. But if he were to pop, man, just think like if he were first year Minka, right? Like
right.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
That would be dope.
Like that defense, like
for sure. Some nails. I think for me, I think maybe they're one and the same, and I think I don't think I was leaning this way initially, at least for both questions that I posed. But I think it's Jonah Ellis. Ellis.
Like it.
And I think it's Jonah Ellis because of the question marks with Benito right now and the willingness for the Broncos to sign him long term. I just think that it's the best case scenario. Is it going to be apples to apples? I don't think so necessarily. But I think if Ellis can show that he's a guy and can kind of push for that starting, outside linebacker role, if he can push a Jonathan Cooper, it makes potentially losing Benito a little more palatable. And I don't want that to be the case. I obviously like Benito, want him to be a Bronco for a long time. But they've got to, it's a business at the end of the day, and you've got to be able to set this team up for future success. And if you don't feel like that is where they should be spending the money, then you have to have guys that can kind of walk into that role, or you've got to go get someone who you think can play in that role. And so I think best case scenario is Ellis develops into a guy. He's a guy who can push Cooper, especially in the passing game, or the pass rush game, that he can kind of walk into either of those roles if you lose either guy and not really miss a beat. And I think that that's going to be a tough thing. The Broncos have a lot of tough decisions to make on this defense. You're talking about Zach Allen, who's a guy who's going to get paid. You're talking about Benito. There's just a number of holes that are filled with maybe guys like Hufanga and Greenlaw, who we like, but maybe don't have long-term deals or are injury prone. And so I think you've got to be really looking at how are we going to retool this defense if one of those guys goes down or if we have to let someone walk. And I think Ellis is kind of a perfect fit for them to be able to make a tough decision if they need to. Otherwise, you're just kind of like, we got some guys with some upside, but they haven't shown it. I hope that he shows it this year. And I think that would be probably best case scenario.
Yep. I concur. I do know that they're in contract talks with Benito, but again, right, most deals in the NFL are 2-year deals, right? That's where the guarantee money lives. And then maybe you get into a third if you're really, really good. So ideally you got 2 seasons to find out if Jonah Ellis can be a starter before you got to figure out if you got to pay him or not. Right. So, and that's a good problem to have. I'd rather have a guy that's fringe starter or is a starter that you got to hold back, and maybe you lose him to the open market, the compensatory nature, all of that stuff. But pressure is a privilege. And I love Jonathan Cooper. I think he'll have another good season.
Yeah.
I do think we know that where the limitations are, at least for him as a pass rusher and what he can offer. And I think Jonah Ellis, we have just scraped the surface. So I really like that one. And to think about if he is Shane Ray and Shaq Barrett to Marcus and Vaughn, not that those guys are to that level, but if you got guys that like are starter quality in your second wave, again, this defense goes from good to good luck. I dig it. And it's youth, right? So it's kind of like him and Savion Jones. Both of those guys showed this year not only did you draft real well, getting a third round pick and a third round pick back-to-back years, which is, that's George Payton's like wheelhouse. Younger guys that can really be a part of your ongoing core. Yeah. I mean, sign me up. Sign me up for those problems.
For sure. Well, I think we've come to the end. You got any more before we go? Are you good?
Yeah. A weird one is just, I think Caleb Lohner, that one would be really cool. I think any tight end too, like that can show they can be an inline option. I really like Nate Atkins. I think his versatility allows you to not carry a fullback.
Yeah.
But apparently, it wasn't enough last year because they also carried a fullback.
Right.
And so, will Lucas Kroll kind of be that dude? Chris Korn from Ole Miss, tight end that they brought in as an undrafted free agent. I thought he showed out pretty well in college. Adam Troutman to me is kind of a perfect, quiet, ideal number 2. But now that he is the number 2, can he give you 15 catches, with a couple of touchdowns? And, he's a threat he's going to catch 1 or 2 balls every game for a first down, and it's going to be impactful. That part, someone that's going to be able to contribute in line in the receiving room and being a good player at the point of attack. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to have someone who could take some Evan Ingram moments snaps if he gets hurt. Not necessarily the most healthy guy either. So there's a lot of pressure on that room. I think that to develop a second guy that can kind of be an option in those to either kind of give Ingram a little bit of a rest so he's not overtaxed, or to step in if needed. No, but I think those are all good options. I mean, really, we did overlook Harvey as well. Harvey's obviously Victory Lap mentioned Harvey. If he pops, obviously the impact is huge. You're really kind of set in that room for a little while. At least this season, and probably the next couple of years, you're just trying to find guys to fill out that room. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of. It's fun that you can kind of look at this roster and just be like, okay, if this guy pops, we're in a good position. If this guy pops, we're in a good position. And they're all young guys. It's not like we brought in veterans to have to come in and step in and be impactful guys off the rip. We've got guys in the wings that have some potential to be developed, which is exciting for a really pretty young team and roster, especially when you talk about Bo Nix and the leadership. You're looking for up and coming leaders on this team, and you can really solidify a core.
Yep, I nailed it. I think that there's a lot of really exciting pieces that really are helping you build. So ideally, this is a good next step season to where this team is, Super Bowl contender for the next 3 based on kind of the core contracts, all that stuff. And they got some guys that are going to run up that'll give you some good decisions about whether or not, maybe you re-up those guys who are younger at a cheaper rate than bringing back fill in the blank with maybe an older vet. So they're in a good spot. Went from what did ESPN, right? 31st or 32nd roster to the 6th best roster. With a bunch of the same names. A bunch of the names were here last year. It's one of the teams with the least amount of turnover. Crazy how a season just all of a sudden changes everything.
What's his name? Hated that we were the 6th best rated roster. Nick Wright.
Oh,
that guy that hated Jokic.
I mean, gives us Nick's a bad name. That's for sure.
Right.
I don't even know. We're gonna have to. Yeah.
You're gonna have to talk at the Nick Summit and get him on.
Yeah. Yep. In the keynote this year, so hopefully we'll do some accountability circles and
we'll get it back in line. All right. Well, we appreciate everyone. Thank you for being here. We got to take off, but we enjoy having you here. We always enjoy getting comments in the chat. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on those as the episodes go along. But we have to go for today. So thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Be safe out there, and if you need a sports prescription, ask a doctor.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle. Wait a minute, work hard for the car, so that's why it's all tinted. Wait a minute. Had a real late night, woke up with my